Alright, welcome to part 2, guys. So from here on, I'm going to teach you a little bit of how the game works, and we're going to start with your focus, okay? Alright, so the thoughts that you're thinking most of the time, whether they're conscious or your subconscious, usually your focus consists of your subconscious thoughts, or in other words, your paradigm thoughts, your dominant thoughts. And that's what your focus is your dominant thoughts. Your dominant thoughts are what create your feelings in your body, okay? From the feeling of lack, anger, and frustration to abundance, joy, and love. And these feelings are really, really important, all right? They can be used to pinpoint what you're thinking most of the time. And they can help you see where you are at so you can change your focus to something that you would rather focus on. But see, that's not all these feelings do. They also empower your actions. And as you can see, there are two pictures here, okay? One is a man who is robbing something, and the other is of a man giving a compassionate hug to someone, all right? And both of these actions are influenced and empowered by the feelings that we have inside of us. Can you tell which man has the feeling of lack and fear? That'd be the guy who's robbing someone. And the other man would have feelings of love. Now, of course, they both perhaps have a plethora of different feelings influencing their actions, but ultimately you can narrow these feelings down to two. Feelings influenced by fear or negative feelings, and feelings influenced by love or positive feelings. So these actions that we take create something I like to call connection ports, okay? These ports are what allow others, and not just other people, but other things to everything in reality, all experiences, all things, whether it's a solid object, an inanimate object like a desk, a computer desk, or a computer, or an animal, or a person, okay? These ports are what allow everything in your life, every single thing that exists, to connect with you, okay? This is where we go back to, if you've ever heard of the law of attraction teaching us, like attracts like. Another good example is to give you a better idea of what I mean by ports, okay? So think of a two-pronged electrical socket, all right, in the wall, all right? You have a two-pronged electrical cord to match that socket, or the port, all right? So you can't plug in a three-pronged electrical cord into a two-pronged port. It just doesn't work, okay? And so, simply put, negativity will connect with negativity, or negative ports, and positivity will connect with positivity, or positive ports. And so remember, taking no action as well is also an action. No matter how subtle it may seem, no matter how much it may not look like an action, it actually is an action. And so this is important. This is the importance of taking positive action to direct your focus towards the things that you want to create in your life, rather than hiding from your focus, thinking that taking no action will get you the same results. And this is some of what we're going to help you to do further in the program, okay? We're going to help you change your connection ports into ones that benefit you so that your focus will attract the things that you want instead of the things that you don't. All right. So we're going to move on here towards your focus is basically everything, okay? So what you choose to look at, all right, this is all that you're going to see. There is an entire universe out there full of everything you can imagine. Look at all those stars. So many. Those are complete worlds within themselves, all right? But our experience is so dictated upon what we choose to look at. It really is. It is so focused upon what it is that we're looking at the moment. There's a quote that Sakat has created, and it's beautiful. And it's simply put, it's, "To a giant, I am small, and to an ant, I am tall." And so you can clearly see that the whole world exists by what we perceive. And so that, if you really feel that quote and you really look at that and read that, think about that, you'll see how everything is perception. It really is. And it's how everything is what you're focusing on. You know, there's a whole world under the ground. Tons of ants are all in that world, but we're not focused upon that. We're focused upon what we see. We really are. And so, if you can see this picture here, it's an alien, all right? And then all those stars, but if you focus on that alien, all you'll see is that alien. If you take a telescope and you zoom in so close, there could be a spider to your left, but you zoomed in so much on that alien that you don't even see the spider because all you're focused on is that alien. So it gives you an idea how your focus is really what creates your entire experience. It's what really creates your entire reality. And so from here, we're going to go on to a little bit, explaining a little bit more about definitions and labels, okay? So this is what happens is when you define something as good, or if you define something as bad, this creates what experience you're going to have. All right. There's a person that can define, paper airplanes as a good thing. They love paper airplanes. They find so much joy in them. All right. And then there's another person that can define them as a bad thing for whatever reason. He doesn't like the way the paper looks. He doesn't like the idea that we're wasting paper. Something like that. Okay. And so one person can look at this thing and completely get an amazing positive experience and feel fantastic. And the other person can look at this thing and get an amazing horrible experience. I know, amazing horrible, right? And feel horrible about everything that's going on here. And so as you can see right here, it's basically just our definitions and labels that will create the feelings that we're feeling towards the things that we're focusing on. So if you can really look at that and really feel that for a second, if you judge something as good, you'll have a good experience. If you judge something as bad, you'll have a bad experience. One person can judge the food that he's eating as healthy and feel great eating it. And then the other person can judge it as bad and feel horrible eating it. And from here on, your feelings, this is what I'm saying, your feelings create your reality. They create the connection ports. When you're feeling good, you're going to open up connection ports to other people and other things and everything in your life to bring more good in you, to bring more good into your life. And if you're feeling bad, the opposite's going to happen. You're going to feel as if, oh, okay, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, and you're going to create more bad for you. So if you really can see this, what I'm saying here is if you can learn to judge everything as good, you can change your reality just like that immediately. It's amazing. And this is actually the practice of unconditional love right there in its core nature, is judging everything as good. Because unconditional love allows everything. So it's just interesting to look at for there. So we're going to move on a little bit here, and we're going to talk about something that we like to do. And this is what happens when we define things as bad. We tend to avoid it, okay? And this is where we can get a little stuck. And this is where most, if not everybody, gets stuck when it comes to bad things or the things that they judge bad. When you define something as bad, okay, you tend to avoid it or resist it by default. It's just what our egos do. It's what the human part of us does, okay? And it's trying to protect ourselves by doing this. But you see, when you define something as bad, it keeps your focus on what we dislike. It keeps it in our focus in order to avoid it. We have to keep looking at it so we know where it's at so we can avoid it. Okay, but what happens is when that stays on our focus, we attract more experiences that involve it and other things that we dislike, as we're only focused on what is bad. So you see this picture here, and there's a nice beautiful butterfly and a nice beautiful rainbow and a nice scenery in the background with some clouds and some flowers. But down there is this big, scary, spooky looking spider. And what we do is we focus on it. As you see, that is our only experience. It goes back to it. If you take a microscope and you look at the spider and you don't look at the butterfly next to it, all you're going to see is the spider. And so your entire experience is going to be something you don't like. Something that's going to create all these feelings that are horrible in you just because you're trying to know where it's at all the time so you can avoid it. It's really counterproductive. And it's interesting how we do this, because the actual thing of doing this is actually fearing it. And so the thing you want to do is learn to love it. That's the idea here, is unconditionally loving. When you can love what you hate, you'll no longer define it as bad, you'll no longer fear it, and so you no longer try to avoid it, which means is you can put your focus on what you would rather like to see, on what you prefer. You can see the butterfly flying because you'll move that telescope or that microscope onto the butterfly, and then you'll feel good. Thus, you'll attract more what you feel good about with the connection ports and all of that. So, as you can see, this is really what locks us in here, is trying to avoid the bad. And so, all right, if you can get all that in, we're going to move on to the next part here soon, and that's going to be talking more about beliefs and how they lock in our feelings, and we're going to go from there and finish up. So I'll see you in the next video, guys. All right.